This is a Groovy Boys production.
Hey guys, I'm your host, Mason Baugh, and welcome to The Lookup. I'm joined here with my co-host, Jackson Phelps, and my producer, Anthony Marti. Today we have a very special guest. He's an Emmy award-winning journalist and has been an anchor on FOX4 Kansas City for over 26 years. It's John Holt.
Hey guys,
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm honored to be here, and 26 years, man. That's making me old here.
Happy to have you on.
Thank you, Mason. I want to just set the record straight here, buddy. I see you got your Mizzou hat on, so I hope you don't mind if I wear my KU mask.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Oh no!
Yeah, let's go.
Oh no!
I couldn't resist.
That's great.
Let's go.
That's great. Like speaking, you went to Kansas, right?
I did. I spent.
So-
I went to the School of Journalism there, the esteemed William Allen White School of Journalism, and then I stayed and got a law degree while I was there. So I was at KU for 7 years.
Yeah. So before going to college, when did you get your start in broadcasting?
That's a great question. I actually got my start in high school. I was at my small town in central Kansas. We had a radio station. I grew up out in Great Bend, which is in central Kansas, and we used to do a radio show from for our high school newspaper Thursday nights. We called it Panther Parade because we were the Panthers. And the owner of the radio station, the general manager, actually liked my voice, I guess, and he was starting an FM station and wanted me to work weekends and just kind of fill in here and there. And so I got to do both AM and FM while I was still in school.
Right.
And then when I went to KU, I was able to parlay that into a job in Lawrence at a local radio station there. So that's kind of where I got my first taste of broadcasting.
That's awesome. So you know you got a really early start on broadcasting. So was there a point within your whole journey of being in high school and being able to be on the radio? Was there a point where you're saying, I want to do this for the rest of my life? Was there any moment?
I think that's probably where it started. I also had a chance to do a Boy Scout Explorer program out at the local community college there. So that was some additional radio experience. And initially I actually wanted to do sports. I thought sports was the route I wanted to go. I'm not very athletic, but I loved calling the games, doing play-by-play, sometimes even in my own imagination, playing in the backyard with my brothers and sisters and other neighborhood kids. I would be the announcer for the game. So I thought that's the route I wanted to go. But when I got to KU and got my first TV internship, I was doing news, and it just kind of went from there. So I still love sports. I'm a fan. I don't have to work so much at the games, although I did get a chance to cover the Royals in the World Series and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, which was pretty cool.
So if you were to be given a chance again to pick if you want to do sports or if you want to continue doing news, would you instead choose sports or would you keep doing news?
That's a good question. I think I'd love to be a play-by-play guy, maybe do games on TV or even radio. I think radio is really cool because you really have to paint a bigger picture for the audience. I have friends who are I worked with, for example, Mitch Holtis was at WIBW in Topeka, my first TV station. He was there when he was doing K-State games, and Steve Fiziak, who does the Royals games, was also there as a weekend sports guy. So I also had access to those guys early on in their careers, and I've learned a lot just listening to them and how they do games. Kevin Harlan was a year behind me at KU, and we were friends. We worked at the same radio station there in Lawrence, so I've been thrilled to see his career.
Awesome.
He's done very well, doing a lot of NBA right now in the bubble in Orlando. So just being around those guys, I've learned a lot. I'm not sure I'd be very good at it, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to try.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I also have a question. So I was looking through your Twitter and I saw that you, Rob Collins, and Harold Kuntz have your own little Kansas City Chiefs thing, the KC End Zone. I wanted to ask, what is that? I don't think people would like to know what that is.
For sure.
It's actually a pretty cool deal. We started that a couple of years ago as a podcast, actually, and we were doing. It was video podcast. We would do it, post it on our Facebook page and on our website. When we were purchased by a new company, they were big on local programming, and so they asked us to expand it and make it a half-hour show for television. And actually, it airs not just in Kansas City, but along our Nexstar network, which is Joplin.
Oh wow!
In Springfield, it
That's
airs
nice.
in Wichita and Topeka in Kansas. So we have a pretty good coverage for that show. Which we put together on Fridays, and then each station can choose when to air it. So it's been a lot of fun to have that show kind of grow and develop. We always bring in a local beat writer, somebody who covers the Chiefs on a daily basis, to sort of add to the expertise. We have sound from the Chiefs, Zoom calls just like this one is how they're doing it right now. But it's been fun, and we carried it right through the Super Bowl, and we actually did our last show last year live from Miami, right outside the stadium.
Oh, that is really cool.
How was that? How was going to the Super Bowl?
You know, I grew up as a Chiefs fan, obviously in the Chiefs kingdom out in central Kansas. For me, it was like a dream come true. I will say it was not a lot of fun. It was mostly work. We didn't sleep a lot. We got about 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night because we were taking care of not only our station, but the other stations along our sort of regional network. Plus, we were helping out with mornings. We were covering events all over the Miami area. So we had to get up and get an early start. But at the end of the day, it was a blast. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And of course, to be there the night they won it and be down on the field trying to track down players, and then post game on the field until I think we left the stadium, Hard Rock, at 2 a.m. Miami time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. It was truly a great experience.
Yeah, I bet that hard work all paid off when you saw Damian Williams dashing on the sideline. Yeah.
I'll tell you a great story about that. In the fourth quarter, they had told us, we were up in the press box, and they had told us if you had field credentials, which I did along with a photographer and a couple other folks we were with, we would have to go down into the tunnel with about 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They would come and escort us down. Mm-hmm. So the truth be told, I'd love to tell you I was on the sidelines or up in the press box watching. I saw the 7.5 minute comeback on big TV screens that were probably 50 yards away from us. And literally you had a better view than I did. But it was cool to be there once the game was over. What happens when the game's over, Fox has the only ability to be live from the stadium. The game ends, their broadcast ends, and then we all rush out onto the field to grab the players.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. So on like FOX4, we see you guys have like a lot of co-hosts, like a lot sometimes. How do you gel with your co-hosts and like get to know them? Because you have like a lot of different like personalities and through co-hosts.
It's like any family. You have to trust each other and get to know each other, not just as coworkers but as friends. I don't think you can fake it. In fact, let me hear. Well, my co-anchor just left for a little dinner, but Christelle Bell is brand new to FOX4. She just joined us last week, and she's came to us from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Dominique Ricks, my co-anchor at 5 and 9, left before the pandemic, so we've been looking ever since, and we had to limit our search because of travel restrictions. But Christelle was the woman we chose, and she's here now, and she and I hit it off the first time we met when she came in for an interview, and we're picking up right where we left off from there. So it's just one of those things where you really do have to kind of click, and you have to give and take. It's I call Christelle and Lauren my work wives. Thankfully, my wife Susie understands that. But you may have a disagreement or a difference. You just work it out. But usually you're friends, and that makes it easier when your coworkers on the air.
Yeah.
So you spoke about travel restrictions with COVID and everything. So since everything has happened around February, March, what has been different at FOX4?
That's a great question. A lot has been different. Behind me is our brand new newsroom. We were just remodeled, and you'll see a lot of desks here behind me. I don't know if you can kind of see them over here, right about there. Okay. So we have desks for reporters, and then in another room we have photographers' desks, and they're empty. You'll notice they're basically empty because our reporters and photographers are all remote now. Like so many other businesses, we are working remote. So we do a Microsoft Teams meeting at 2:00 in the afternoon for our evening shows. And some of those reporters I haven't seen in person in weeks. I might run into them in the parking lot when they drop gear off. Sometimes they come in and do studio shots, but basically we're to social distance. We have a lot of our crews out of the building. That's true as well for our producers. Some of them work from home. Our creative services, they're the ones who do all the promos. They haven't been here. The sales staff just came back, but they're in a different building. And other business office folks are working remote. So we have this beautiful new big newsroom here that hardly anybody's in, and
looks nice.
We're looking forward to getting everybody back. But for right now, it's systems working great. Our teams can still go out. We can communicate through the technology like Zoom and Microsoft meetings, and we really haven't skipped a beat, I don't think. And in the studio itself, we're all here. We've not been broadcasting from home because our studio is big enough to sort of socially distance.
Awesome. So, a lot has changed since COVID with FOX4, but what has changed since, the time you got to Fox 4 26 years ago?
Oh wow, that's a good question too. The biggest change I think for us has been the technology and also social media. When I first got here in 1994, we didn't have social media as an aspect of our business, or even we didn't even have a website. Well, now that's a big part of what we do. Certainly, television and the evening news or the morning news is our number one priority because that's our biggest revenue creator. But we are turning the internet, we're turning social media into revenue producers as well. And so we now have more work to do. I'm in charge of my own Twitter and Instagram and Facebook accounts that I post stuff on for the TV station. You mentioned my Twitter account. We also post to our station accounts, and we provide content for our website too, fox4kc.com, because let's face it, a lot of people get their news from this thing right here, right? I mean, how do you guys get your news now? You young folks, you're not necessarily
Twitter.
sitting down to watch TV. You're getting it
Right.
here. So we need to be in that arena. We need to be competing with the other TV stations, the other networks, the other sources of news and information on this. We call it the second screen. So you can sign up for our notifications. We alert you to breaking news and to breaking weather. That's how we're staying relevant. It's digital. So that's probably the biggest change that we've seen.
So I would say, like, for myself and for people my age, that like I've always liked you guys since I was a kid. I've seen you on the TV screen and everything. I've always known who you are and your names and everything, but I don't think I would have as much of a connection to you guys if it weren't for your Twitter accounts or your Instagram accounts and everything like that. I think that's really cool that you guys are all branch out on social media for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's important because we're reaching a new generation of potential. As you become an adult, we want to be your source, right? We want to be your main source and part of your family.
Right.
So as you become an
Yeah.
adult, maybe you will start to watch more TV. But certainly, every time you click on our website, that's good as well for us. And the other beauty of our website is, let's say you're traveling, you're in another part of the country, we live stream all of our newscasts. So when I travel, if I want to see what's going on back in Kansas City, I can go to our website or our app, download our app. It's free in your favorite app store, and I can watch our newscasts. And I'll tell you a funny story. This has been a few years ago, but I got a text message during a newscast. It was during our 5 o'clock news from a friend of mine. He was in Madrid, Spain. And it was, of course, 6 or 7 hours ahead there. They were getting ready to go to bed, and he just texted me and said, "Hey, we're watching your 5 o'clock news from Spain." Think about
That's
that.
awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Really cool. You mentioned earlier that you went to Kansas and everything, and while researching, I saw that you got a law degree along with a journalism degree. So I know a lot with reporting news has to do with law and court cases and things like that. So how much has your law degree that you got applied to broadcasting?
I'd say I use it every day, Mason. I think it's one of those things where I toyed with the idea of practicing law. In fact, I kind of was thinking communications law, First Amendment, privacy. I worked for a law firm in Washington, D.C. I clerked for a summer there. At the end of the day, though, I'd spent so much time working in journalism, on air, radio and TV, that was really my first choice. And I haven't looked back. I'm glad I made that choice. But I bet I use that background every day, whether it's
Yeah.
covering or writing about legal stories, but also just critical thinking, how to dig, how to ask the right questions. A lot of my sources are from the legal community. So I don't regret that 3 years I spent in law school. And bonus, I met my wife. She was in my class at KU. So she had come from the University of Arizona. So, you don't need a law degree to do what I do. And students ask me, is that something you need to get into journalism? And no, in fact, I think it's important. If any of you are interested in perhaps pursuing this kind of a career, and
Yeah.
maybe you
Yeah,
are,
for sure.
that you consider taking a wide range of classes in undergrad, political science, take a business course, take a statistics course. Think about all the statistics we deal with now with this COVID-19, all the numbers and graphs and charts. And so I did not take a statistics course. I wish I had, but I just think the more well-rounded you are, you're going to learn a lot of your craft when you get out and get into the real world, as with many professions. So while you're in school, take as many different classes, history, political science, things like that, because you never know when it's going to come in handy or what you might cover.
Yeah, for sure. I think you definitely shine a light on things that people may not have understood. Even the FOX4 hosts, and people like you kind of bring a new angle to the stories and things like that. I think it's
I'm kind
nice.
of the newsroom lawyer, so, but I can't get you out of any trouble.
So another really interesting thing I thought when researching for this was that you covered the OJ Simpson trial, and that's highlighted on. If you look up John Holt, that's on almost everything you see. It's John Holt. He covered the OJ Simpson trial. Like, what year was that?
That was back in okay. So I got here in 1994, and that trial started in February of '95. The reason I remember that is it started right after the Super Bowl that year. We were a brand new Fox affiliate. We'd been NBC. We had very little programming at that point, and our general manager, the guy who hired me at the time, thought, you know what, let's put the trial on TV. Back then, there was only Court TV and CNN who were carrying the trial live from California, but we took the feed and we brought in local attorneys and legal experts to talk about, okay, what if this trial were being held in Missouri or Kansas? What would the rules of evidence be? Would they be any different? What are the rules of the trial procedure, so on and so forth. So it was fascinating, and I was fairly young in terms of my legal career, and because I had that background, they put me on the trial, and I was one of the main sort of analysts and anchors for that. I will say I had never tried a criminal case in my life, so I had to kind of do a lot of research myself, but I also leaned on our experts who we brought in, some of whom had criminal experience. I learned a lot just sitting there with those lawyers, and some of them are good friends still today and good legal sources for me.
Yeah, I'm sure that's one of the biggest news cycles in American history for sure.
Like,
I think
the trial lasted like 9 months.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, there were days, because it was California time, we still had to do our 5 o'clock news, so we would break away at 5, and the trial was probably still underway. But that thing took forever. And the one thing the lawyers that we interviewed said, well, for one thing, we wouldn't be taking that long here. We'd get this trial over with in 2, maybe 3 weeks, just different. But that was a high-profile case in Los Angeles, so there you go.
Yeah. So what did you say now? Do you think OJ is guilty or innocent?
Well, I've never come right out and said what I thought, but the system worked, and ultimately he wound up in prison anyway, right? So and he was also sued in civil court. You may recall that the family, both families of the murder victims, filed in civil court and won judgments where the burden of proof is a lot lower than in a criminal court. So it changed OJ's life forever as well in many ways.
Yes, what goes around comes around, kind of.
Yeah.
So at the end of our shows, we have a recurring segment. It is called The Wheel. Okay. And what the wheel is we customize this wheel for our guest every time. So I'm sharing my screen right now. Everyone can see it, right? We're good.
Out here.
Everyone can see the screen. So, my question for you on the wheel here is, I put just some random assorted FOX4, some of your God, I can't.
Coworkers?
Some of your coworkers, yes. That's what I was thinking of. My bad. And I put some assorted FOX4 coworkers of yours on this wheel, and I'm gonna spin it and maybe 2 or 3 times and just see if there's any funny stories or any little inside jokes about any of these people that you can give me.
All right, this ought to be interesting.
All right, so I'll spin the wheel for the first time here.
All right, here we go. Pretty high tech.
Oh man.
Dizzy.
Carly Ritter.
Well, I'll tell you this about Carly. She's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. She obviously works mornings and I work evenings, so our paths don't always cross. But when I do get a chance to see her, we always enjoy visiting. And a little known fact, her husband is in a band, a very good band. He's a lead singer, plays guitar, and has actually performed at our Band of Angels event that we have done in the past. So that's not really a funny story, but just a little insight on Carly. And she's also a great mom. So I like Carly a lot. I wish she has filled in the evenings a time or two, and it's always good to have her on with us.
Do you know the band?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Do you know the band name of the band?
That's a great question. I did know it. I can't think of it now.
That's all good. It's interesting.
Anyway, Chris is his name. Terrific. They're fun. They're a fun band. They cover a lot of 80s and some other classical stuff, and just a fun band. And they're talented, good musicians.
Yeah, I like that insight, and we're gonna try to get a few more Fox4 anchors and other people on the show because we really love what you guys do. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's really nice to know kind of these things to maybe
Sure.
ask a future question to someone like Carly Ritter. All right, I'll
Now
spin
you
it.
know, you can ask her about her
Yeah.
husband's band.
All right, awesome. I'm gonna spin
Okay.
it again. Oh, nice.
Awesome.
She should play the lottery, shouldn't she?
right. Let's do it again.
Try again. So Lauren used to be our morning anchor and worked alongside Carly and Mark and the morning crew, and then decided getting up at 2 or 3 in the morning was not her thing. So she moved to nights when Abby moved to mornings. Abby was on in the evening with me, and then moved to mornings because she actually wanted to see her new husband, which she got to see more of because of their schedules. So Lauren came to nights, and she and I co-anchored the 6 o'clock news together. And then she and Pat are on at 10 o'clock during the time between Dominique's departure and my new co-anchor Christelle's arrival. Lauren was doing all of the shows, so she earned her keep here. She's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
She's from Texas, by the way.
Nice.
Houston.
Want to
cool.
do one more?
Okay. Yeah.
One more spin. All right, let's do it.
So Abby and I have known each other for, well, obviously since she got here. The fun thing about Abby is when she got here, I knew she's a Nebraska girl. She's from Omaha, but she went to Mizzou. So we've had a fun little back and forth with KU and Mizzou over the years. And I remember when Abby first got here, we were joking one time, and I said, well, Abby, you know what's going to happen. You're going to fall in love with and marry a KU guy. And she's, of course, no way, no, not a chance. Guess what?
Falls in love with you, KU
And she
guy.
married a really cool guy, Tyler from Mizzou, or from KU, I mean. And so they are a house divided with 2 beautiful children. And
Cool.
I remind her of that every chance I get, that I predicted that she would meet and fall in love with a Jayhawk.
Nice.
We will.
Well, I guess we're gonna be wrapping up the show here, but there's a question I usually ask at the end of every show. Since we are the Lookup, we interview people that we look up to in the journalism space, media space in general. And the question I'd like to ask you is, if there's one thing you could say to all the people that look up to you as a journalist, anything at all, what would you say to them? That could be anything at all.
Yeah, and this would be somebody who's interested in the career.
Yeah, anyone that looks up to you or like has watched your career and like likes your just is a fan of you in general.
I would say, raise the bar a little bit, find somebody else that's really worth looking up to. No, I'm just kidding. I would say thank you for that honor, because I appreciate that somebody would look to me as a role model. I just love what I do, and I think the one piece of advice I give young people, whether it's in high school or whether it's in college, when I get a chance to speak to classes, is, and it doesn't just apply to what I do what you love. Don't do something because you think it's going to make a lot of money or it's glamorous or whatever. Do it because you have a passion for it, that you love doing it, because if you don't, you're going to be miserable. At the end of the day, you have to really want to go to work, whether it's the medical field, whether it's law, whether it's journalism, whether it's landscaping, whether it's plumbing, it doesn't matter. You have to love what you're doing. And I think most successful people, men and women, in their fields, love what they do. They want to go to work every day. Work is fun.
I appreciate it, man. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate being on the show. I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been the Lookup. I guess I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Yeah.
This is a Groovy Boys production.